My father's last message. Claire isn't your enemy. She's in danger. The man in these photos isn't her lover. He's her captor. And he's family. I thought I was exposing an affair. I uncovered a 30-year conspiracy that turned my wife into a pawn for revenge against sins my family never committed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. My name is Nathan, and I've always believed that grief reveals character. When my father passed away from a sudden heart condition, I watched people's true natures emerge. Some friends disappeared, others showed unexpected kindness. But my wife, Claire, she became distant in a way that felt wrong. During the funeral, she kept checking her phone. At the wake, she excused herself 4 times for important calls. When I asked about it, she claimed work emergencies, but Claire was a freelance photographer. Her schedule was always flexible. The real unraveling began when I visited the bank to access my father's safe deposit box. He'd left detailed instructions. I was to retrieve everything personally, and there was a specific sealed envelope marked for Nathan, open privately. Inside that envelope was another envelope. This one addressed to Claire Richardson, her maiden name, not Richardson Porter, which she'd used since our wedding. My father's handwriting was shaky but deliberate. Claire, I know the truth. We need to talk before it's too late. Attached were 3 photographs. The first showed Claire having coffee with a man I didn't recognize. Nothing particularly suspicious, except my father had written on the back, Victor Moss, March 2024. The second photograph was taken from a distance, Claire entering a downtown apartment building. The notation read, same location, 4 visits in 2 weeks. The third photograph made me grip the table for support. It was Claire and my brother James standing outside that same apartment building. They weren't touching, but their body language spoke volumes, heads close together, his hand hovering near her lower back. The date stamp showed it was taken just 1 month ago. My brother James, my best friend growing up, my confidant, the person who'd been my best man at my wedding. A separate note in my father's handwriting explained everything. Nathan, I hired a private investigator because I noticed changes in Claire's behavior during family gatherings. What I found concerns me deeply. The man in these photos, Victor Moss, is not who he claims to be. I believe Claire is in serious trouble, but I don't think she's the villain here. I think she's being coerced. James is involved somehow. I wanted to discuss this with you in person, but I need you to investigate carefully. Trust no one until you understand the full picture. There's more in the USB drive taped inside this envelope. I love you, son. Dad, my hand shook as I found the small USB drive. My father had passed away before he could tell me any of this. Whatever was on that drive contained his final investigation. I drove home in a daze, went straight to my office and locked the door. The USB drive contained folders labeled by date, each packed with surveillance photos, recorded conversations, and detailed notes in my father's meticulous handwriting. What I learned over the next 4 hours changed everything. According to my father's notes, Victor Moss wasn't just some random person. He was a former business associate of my brother James, someone who'd served time for financial manipulation 7 years ago. James had been the whistleblower who'd testified against him, which led to Victor's conviction. But here's where it got strange. Victor had been released from custody 18 months ago. Shortly after, he'd contacted Claire directly, not James. Why Claire? The recorded conversations were fragmentary. My father had managed to capture only pieces through directional microphones. But what I heard was enough. Claire's voice, strained. I never wanted this. You said if I cooperated, you'd leave my family alone. Victor's response, cold. You should have thought about that before your husband's brother destroyed 5 years of my life. Consider this repayment. Another recording, dated 3 weeks before my father's passing. James, how much longer do we have to keep this up? Claire, until he gets what he wants, then he says he'll disappear. James, and you believe him? Claire, this man is dangerous. Claire, what choice do I have? He has evidence that could destroy everything. I sat back, my mind racing. This wasn't a simple case of infidelity. Claire and James weren't having an affair. They were trapped in something orchestrated by Victor Moss. But what evidence did he have? What was he forcing Claire to do? The final folder on the USB drive was labeled Financial Transactions. Inside were bank statements showing unusual transfers from an account in Claire's name, an account I didn't know existed. Over the past 18 months, nearly $200,000 had moved through it in irregular amounts. Money coming in, money going out, always to different accounts. My father's last note was dated 2 days before his passing. I confronted Claire today. She broke down and confessed everything, but made me promise not to tell Nathan yet. She's terrified that if Victor knows I'm aware, he'll follow through on his threats. She's trying to find a way out. I'm going to help her, but I need time. Nathan, if you're reading this, it means I ran out of time. Claire is not your enemy. Find out what Victor has on her and you'll understand why she's been forced to cooperate. James is trying to protect her too, though I'm not sure his methods are sound. Be careful, son. I couldn't wait any longer. That evening, when Claire came home from a supposed photography session, I was waiting in the living room with the envelope's contents spread across the coffee table. Her face went pale when she saw the photographs. Nathan, I can explain. Then explain, I said, keeping my voice level. Explain why my father hired an investigator to follow you. Explain Victor Moss. Explain the secret bank account. Explain why my brother is involved. She collapsed into the chair across from me, tears already streaming down her face. For several long moments, she said nothing. Then, slowly, she began to talk. 8 years ago, before we met, I made a terrible mistake. I was working as a freelance photographer for a magazine, and I was offered a high-paying job documenting a corporate event. I didn't ask enough questions. The event was for a company that Victor ran, a company that was actually a front for moving money illegally. I took hundreds of photos that night, including shots that inadvertently captured documents, conversations, and transactions that would later become evidence of serious financial manipulation. She wiped her eyes, her voice shaking. When Victor was arrested, prosecutors used some of my photographs as evidence. I had no idea what I'd captured. I was just doing my job. After he was convicted, I moved on with my life. I met you. We fell in love. And I thought that chapter was closed forever. But it wasn't, I said quietly. No. 18 months ago, Victor found me. He'd spent his time behind bars planning his revenge against everyone who'd contributed to his conviction. He couldn't touch James directly. Your brother had legal protection as a witness, but he could get to me. He had copies of all my original photograph files from that night, and he'd found something I'd missed. One of my photos showed me in the reflection of a window, holding my camera, clearly aware of what I was photographing. He claimed he could prove I was part of the operation, that I'd deliberately documented everything to help build the case against him. I leaned forward. That's ridiculous. You were just the photographer. I know that and you know that, but Victor had lawyers who said they could make it look different. He threatened to bring charges against me, to destroy my career, to drag our family through a trial that would take years. And then he made his offer. If I helped him recover the money he'd lost, the money that had been seized and distributed to his victims, he'd leave us alone forever. The $200,000, I said. She nodded. He had a plan to reclaim funds hidden in various accounts. He needed someone with a clean financial record to move the money through legitimate channels. That's where I came in. Every transfer I made looked legal on the surface. Payments for photography services, legitimate business expenses. But I was actually moving his money from offshore accounts back to him. And James? Your father told James what he'd discovered. James immediately understood what was happening because he knew Victor's methods. He'd seen them before. James tried to convince me to go to the authorities, but I was terrified. Victor had made it clear what would happen if I tried to back out. So James decided to work from the inside, pretending to help Victor while actually documenting everything to build a case against him. I felt a wave of emotions: betrayal, confusion, relief, anger. Why didn't you tell me any of this? Claire's voice broke. Because Victor said if you knew, he'd consider our agreement void. He wanted me isolated, scared, and compliant. Every time you asked why I was distracted, every time you noticed me on my phone, I was reporting to him, following his instructions, terrified that one wrong move would destroy everything. Just as I was processing Claire's confession, my phone rang. It was James. "Nathan, don't react to what I'm about to tell you. Just listen. I'm at Victor's apartment right now with the police. We've just arrested him, but there's something you need to know immediately. Get to Dad's attorney's office right now. Don't bring Claire. I'll explain everything when you arrive." 20 minutes later, I sat in Thomas Bradley's office, my father's attorney and longtime friend. James was already there, along with Detective Maria Santos from the Financial Crimes Unit. "Nathan," Thomas began carefully, "your father came to me 6 weeks before he passed away. He'd uncovered something that went far beyond Claire's situation with Victor Moss." James took over. "When Dad told me what he'd found, I immediately contacted the authorities and agreed to work undercover. Nathan, Victor wasn't just extorting Claire to recover his lost money. He was using her as a test case for something much bigger, a scheme to manipulate dozens of people into becoming unwitting accomplices in a massive money laundering operation." Detective Santos opened her laptop. "Mr. Moss identified individuals who'd had peripheral involvement in his original case: photographers, caterers, venue staff, even delivery drivers. He researched their lives, found vulnerabilities, and then approached them with similar threats and offers. Your wife was one of 17 people he was currently manipulating. Together they've moved over $3 million in the past 18 months. I felt sick. Claire had no idea? None of them did, the detective confirmed. Each person thought they were the only one working in isolation. Victor designed it that way deliberately. If one person got caught or tried to report him, the others would continue operating and he could claim they were all willing participants in a conspiracy." Thomas handed me a document. "Your father figured this out by tracking financial patterns. He noticed that multiple people connected to Victor's original case had suddenly opened new business accounts and were making similar types of transactions. He brought this information to me and we contacted the authorities." James's expression was pained. "Dad wanted to help Claire without putting her at risk. That's why he didn't tell you immediately. He was working with Detective Santos to build a case that would protect all the victims while ensuring Victor couldn't escape justice again. Your father's investigation is the reason we were able to make tonight's arrest," Detective Santos added. "We've been monitoring Victor for weeks, waiting until we had sufficient evidence to guarantee a conviction. Every transaction, every threat, every manipulation has been documented. Your wife and the other victims will face no charges. They'll be classified as coercion victims, not accomplices." I looked at James. "The apartment building in the photos? That was our surveillance point. Claire was meeting me there to provide information about Victor's instructions. We were building the case together, but we couldn't tell you because Victor was watching everyone closely. If your behavior toward Claire had changed suddenly, he would have known something was wrong." The weight of it all crashed over me. My father had died trying to protect Claire and the other victims. He'd been working tirelessly behind the scenes, coordinating with attorneys and law enforcement, all while deteriorating from the heart condition he'd hidden from everyone. "There's one more thing," Thomas said quietly. "Your father left a letter for you in my care, to be delivered after Victor's arrest. He wrote it the day before he passed away. He handed me an envelope, my father's handwriting on the front. 'Nathan, to be opened after justice is served.' My hands trembled as I opened it. My dear son, if you're reading this, it means the plan worked and Claire is finally safe. I need you to understand something crucial. Throughout this entire ordeal, Claire never stopped loving you. Every distant moment, every secretive phone call, every time she pulled away, it was because she was trying to protect you from Victor's threats. I've spent the last 2 months of my life watching your wife carry an unbearable burden alone, and it reminded me of your mother during the hardest years of our marriage. Sometimes the people we love most will shoulder impossible weights in silence because they believe it's the only way to keep us safe. Forgive her for not trusting you with the truth. Forgive James for keeping secrets. And forgive me for not being able to tell you this in person. The heart condition that's claiming my life came at an unfortunate time, but I'm at peace knowing I used my final months to protect my family. That's what fathers do. Love her, Nathan. Love her through this trauma. Help her heal from the fear she's carried for 18 months. She's going to need you more than ever, and know that I'm proud of the man you've become. All my love, Dad." I couldn't speak. James put his hand on my shoulder while I cried. For my father, for Claire, for all the time we'd lost to Victor's manipulation. 3 days later, as the investigation deepened, Detective Santos called me with an urgent request to meet. When I arrived at the police station, Claire and James were already there, along with someone I didn't recognize. A woman in her early 60s with intelligent eyes and a familiar expression. "Nathan," Detective Santos began, "this is Margaret Moss. She's Victor's mother." I tensed immediately, but Margaret raised her hand gently. "Please let me speak. I'm not here to defend my son. I'm here because I need to tell you the truth about why Victor targeted your family specifically." My heart began pounding. "Porter is my father's name." Margaret nodded slowly. "Richard Porter was your grandfather. After he vanished, I changed our last name to Moss to protect Victor from the scandal. Your father, Nathan Sr., was Richard's son from his first marriage, which makes Victor your father's half-brother, your uncle." The room spun. Victor was family. James looked as shocked as I felt. "Dad never mentioned any of this." "Because your father didn't know," Margaret said. "Nathan Sr. was only 8 years old when Richard abandoned our family. He was raised by his mother and had no contact with Richard afterward. He grew up completely unaware that Richard had a second family or what had happened to us." Detective Santos pulled out more documents. "We've been investigating Victor's background since the arrest. We discovered that Richard Porter actually died 15 years ago in another country, living under an assumed identity. Before his death, he left a confession letter explaining that he'd stolen money from his business partners, but had lost it all through bad investments. He died essentially destitute." Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "I found that letter last year and tried to contact Victor to tell him the truth, that there was no hidden fortune, no conspiracy, and that your family had nothing to do with his father's actions. But Victor refused to believe me. He was so consumed by his revenge fantasy that he couldn't accept reality." I looked at Margaret, seeing the pain in her face. "Why are you telling us this now?" "Because I need you to know that Victor's actions don't represent me or the kind of mother I tried to be," she said quietly. "And because I want to do something your grandfather never did. Take responsibility and make amends. I've liquidated my savings, and I want to compensate Claire and the other victims for the trauma my son caused. It won't undo the damage, but it's something." Six months have passed since Victor's arrest. He pleaded guilty to 17 counts of coercion and financial manipulation and received a 20-year sentence. The judge noted that his crimes were made worse by his deliberate exploitation of family connections and past trauma. Claire has been in therapy, working through the anxiety and fear that 18 months of manipulation created. We've been going to couples counseling too, rebuilding the trust that Victor's scheme had eroded. It's been difficult. There are days when the weight of what happened feels overwhelming, but we're committed to healing together. James and I have grown closer through all this. Learning about our grandfather's history and Victor's twisted interpretation of family legacy has given us a new appreciation for the honest, transparent relationship we share. We've made a pact: no more secrets, no matter how well-intentioned. Margaret has become an unexpected presence in our lives. She's helped each of Victor's 17 victims navigate the aftermath, providing not just financial support but also emotional counsel. She's turned her pain into purpose, creating a support network for people who've been coerced into financial crimes. Perhaps most remarkably, Claire has transformed her experience into advocacy. She now speaks at law enforcement conferences about coercion tactics and works with financial institutions to develop better protection protocols for manipulation victims. She's turned her trauma into a mission to prevent others from suffering similarly. My father's attorney, Thomas, recently gave me one final envelope from my dad's estate. Inside was a brief note. "Nathan, if all went according to plan, Victor is in custody and your family is safe. Remember this. Sometimes the greatest act of love is fighting battles that no one else knows about. I fought for Claire, for you, for all the innocent people caught in Victor's web. That's what family does. Now it's your turn to carry that torch. Protect the people you love, not by keeping secrets, but by facing hard truths together. Make me proud. Dad, on the anniversary of my father's passing, we held a small ceremony at his gravesite. Claire, James, Margaret, Detective Santos, and myself. We each shared a story about how his quiet investigation had changed our lives. When it was my turn, I simply said, Dad taught me that true strength isn't about being the loudest voice in the room or the most aggressive fighter. It's about having the courage to investigate what's wrong, the wisdom to seek help when needed, and the patience to build a case that protects the innocent while ensuring justice is served. He saved 17 people without most of them ever knowing he was working behind the scenes. That's the kind of hero he was. Claire squeezed my hand as I spoke, and I felt the full weight of what we'd survived together. The secrets, the fear, the manipulation, all of it had tried to destroy us. But in the end, the truth had emerged, and with it came a deeper understanding of love, sacrifice, and family. Victor had wanted revenge for a generational wrong that never actually existed. Instead, he'd created real trauma for dozens of people. But from that trauma, we'd built something he never anticipated. A community of survivors committed to preventing others from experiencing similar pain. Margaret stayed after everyone left, standing beside me at the grave. Your father never knew we were related, she said softly. But in those final weeks when he was coordinating the investigation, I was working behind the scenes with Detective Santos. We spoke on the phone several times. He was a remarkable man. He would have welcomed you into the family, I replied. Despite everything Richard did, despite Victor's actions, he would have seen you as someone who deserves compassion and connection. She smiled sadly. I like to think so. Perhaps that's the real lesson in all of this. We're not defined by the worst actions of our relatives. We're defined by how we respond when we discover those actions. As the sun set over the cemetery, I thought about the journey we'd all taken. From my father's secret investigation to Claire's terrified compliance, from James's undercover work to Margaret's courageous transparency, each person had played a role in dismantling Victor's scheme. The envelope I'd found in my father's safe deposit box hadn't just exposed a conspiracy. It had started a chain of events that brought justice, healing, and unexpected connections. It had shown me that sometimes the people we trust are carrying burdens we can't see, and sometimes the greatest gift we can offer is patient understanding while the truth unfolds. Claire and I drive home that evening in comfortable silence. There's no more humming now, but there's something better. Honest conversation, shared vulnerability, and the quiet confidence that comes from surviving something terrible together. What are you thinking? She asks as we pull into our driveway. I'm thinking about second chances, I reply. About how close we came to losing everything and how grateful I am that we didn't. She reaches across and takes my hand. Your father gave us that chance. He saw what was happening and refused to let Victor win. That night, I sit in my office and reread my father's letters. His words carry new weight now. Sometimes the people we love most will shoulder impossible weights in silence because they believe it's the only way to keep us safe. He'd been right about Claire. He'd been right about James. He'd been right about everything. And his final instruction echoes in my mind. Make me proud. I intend to spend the rest of my life doing exactly that, protecting the people I love, not through secrecy, but through courage, truth, and the kind of quiet strength my father exemplified until his final breath. The inheritance he left me wasn't just the contents of a safe deposit box. It was a lesson about what it means to fight for family, to seek truth no matter the cost, and to transform pain into purpose. And that's an inheritance worth more than any amount of money could ever be.
Keep watching our stories by clicking on one of the videos that appear on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be alerted about new videos. See you next time.